that you do. I know, I know, I know. I know.
Hello everybody, my name is Dubstep Gaming, and today we're going to be doing an unusual one, considering my channel. I was supposed to be teaching my friend JavaScript, as she already knows HTML and CSS. However, I can't really find the time to actually teach her, and I can't exactly put it into words, if that makes sense. I guess thought it would be better to do it on video. I don't know. So, if you don't know HTML or CSS already, they're basically what happens when you go to a website. You go to a website and it sends you a bunch of files. Your browser puts in context what those files do and put whatever those files want you to see in front of you. So, with that being said, if you don't know what HTML or CSS or JavaScript, that still looks wrong. If you don't know what HTML or CSS is, please click off now, as this video probably isn't for you. If you're watching this video, you're probably trying to get into the language JavaScript, which is a scripting language, not a programming language, scripting language that can be used for a multitude of things. It's a front end, which means what you see in front of you, and a back end, logics behind everything. Scripting language. So with that being said, it can change what you see, so it can render, it can get stuff, right, and send stuff to servers and etc. We're going to be making a website today that just has, in general, a basic understanding of how the JavaScript syntax works. Please do note you're going to be following step by step. However, I want you to branch off while I'm talking, like pause the video every once in a while, and particularly try something on your own that you've just learned. Because usually for everybody, learning like, oh, okay, he's doing this, so I'll do that, and repeating whatever I'm doing usually isn't going to work. You need a lot of practice, and B, an understanding of what I'm telling you, what it does. So I'm gonna try and keep this very, very short, but essentially JavaScript is one of the easiest languages you will learn today, or in your lifetime practically, unless you're learning Lua. That is super simplistic, or Scratch. Also, I didn't mention this is gonna be uncut because I can't pay for an editor. So yeah, there's that. All my social media links will be in the description below, and with that, let's get started. So I recommend you have a editor. So for instance, my editor is Visual Studio Code. There are plenty others. If Visual Studio Code's slow on your computer, I recommend Atom.io. It's also pretty intensive at startup, but when it gets going, it's relatively fast, if I do say so. But I've already made a folder here for us, and then again, if you don't have an HTML or CSS understanding, please click off now, as you probably won't do good with JavaScript just yet. I recommend w3schools.com to learn HTML, or you can go to the comment section below to recommend me to teach HTML and CSS, because it's quite simple. This will be one of the, yeah, okay, anyways, let's just get going. So we're going to make our base files, you know, index.html, so there's our HTML file, and index.js, because we're not going to exactly have any CSS going here. So there's our two files, our JS, which is JavaScript file, and our HTML file, which is, I keep forgetting what HTML is. Oh well. I think it's like hypertext markup language. I can't exactly remember. But, yeah, alright, so let's get started with these two files that we have now. We're going to create a head, right? And so we're going to create a title. We'll call it Learning. And so we'll create, this is the element that is used to insert JavaScript into the browser. So this would be, I'm going to do this by hand. script, right, type equals text slash JavaScript. It's very important you have this because some browsers won't exactly understand what you're trying to give it. I'm not sure what browsers that is, but it's just in general good for compatibility to have that in there. And then if you do src and then link to your JavaScript file, and then you can close it up, and then boom, there we go. So we're gonna create a body, right? And in that body, we're gonna have an h1, right? We're just gonna say, actually, you know what? Let's not create a h1. Don't do that. Just leave the body empty. All right. So with that, let's go to our lovely. There we go. All right. So there's, as you see, there's nothing on here. So if we go over to here, to your JavaScript file, this is where you're gonna learn JavaScript. So we've been going for a good 6 minutes. With JavaScript, again, it's a scripting language, so it's going to require some knowledge of the syntax, how it's written. Think of it as English grammar. For instance, this may include like parts of what is it? If you ever done algebra, this may be a breeze. It's just like variables. So, with that, there are a few things you need to know, right? There's such things as objects or JSONs, or it's just a multitude of things. But basic understanding is objects. So when I say window, right, I mean in that window, right? And then if I press dot, it means in. And then whatever I type next is what I want to get from the window. So in this case, I want to get alert, right? So if I do, it means, again, window, right? So in window, I want to get alert. And with that, we're going to put up some of these symbols, right? This usually means that the object that we're getting is called a function. Particularly, this means that we can give it stuff, and in return it will give us stuff back, or do something for us. So with that, it does a function, obviously. So in order to call this, you have to have these two symbols right next to each other. I keep forgetting what they're called because I'm a stupid developer. And with that, we give whatever we want to give inside of it. So in this case, we're going to give it a string. Now, if I were to type hello world, right, that's like telling the language hello and then world, just randomly, right? So object world, or object hello, object world. See, this doesn't make any sense because, of course, there's an object probably named hello, but it doesn't know what world is, right? So we need to tell it that we're trying to give it a piece of a phrase, or a string, as JavaScript calls it. So with this, we put up quotations, right? And if we put up quotations, one quotation and then an ending quotation, we can put in what we want to say. Hello world. Now we're telling it we want to say this, but we don't want to look for the object. So with that, we can do Control S, and we can go to our web application, and then it will say, this page says hello world. So if we were to just try what we did earlier and just say hello world and then save it and then run it again, it wouldn't do anything. That's because it just errored, right? Because again, it thinks that you're still trying to look for hello, right? The object hello, named hello, right? Or variable named hello, and then world, just randomly, just out of the blue, right? And JavaScript doesn't understand that. So in order to tell it you're trying to say something and you're trying to give it a phrase, you do hello world in quotations. So, you know, I'm like trying to quote a string of letters, hello world. So it's hard to get into this concept, but essentially if you give JavaScript anything, so like window, right? it will give you an object full of stuff that the window can allow you to do, or stuff like the Windows location, like where is it right now? Like it could be dubgames.net, google.com, a multitude of things. So with that, we can remove this, all of this now. If you haven't already grasped the context of objects, I do really recommend you watch this next part before trying something on your own. What that means is objects, essentially. I'm trying to think of another definition for this. If I say, if I say alert, which is the same as window.alert, just it's a different name, right? If I do that, JavaScript's going to give me a function, what's called a function. In that function, we can do a multitude of things. So to better grasp what functions can do, we're going to write one ourselves. So if we say to JavaScript, hey, we're trying to make a function, so we say function, and we press space, and then we give that function a name, so to reference it later. So if we say function hello, right, that's all cool, right? And now we need to make these characters again. Again, please do pay attention, because I honestly keep forgetting what they're called. And if we do that, it will put us inside of that. We'll learn about inside variables and calling with variables later. Right now, we're going to go and open this, right, with these little curly brackets. And then we're going to press enter, right? So you may have seen other languages. I'm not saying what kind, because I honestly wouldn't know. Go like this. It's okay, and JavaScript will understand this, but it's not a good way to form JavaScript. JavaScript usually is formed like that, with the curly bracket next to the function declaration. If you have it on the next line, it's just gonna look weird. Please don't. Save us all. Okay? And then we're gonna go down one line when we have opened the curly brackets, right? And we're gonna press tab on our keyboard. That's gonna make a tab separator. In JavaScript, usually every curly brackets means that you have to have, or should have, for the God's sake of styling and making your code pretty, a little space declaring inside of here. And then when we have that, we can say what do we want to do when someone says hello to the language. So if I say run the function hello to JavaScript, it's going to run whatever code is in these little curly brackets. They will not run unless they have been called on. So for instance, we're going to reference our old buddy, window.alert, right? And then these, I can't remember what they're called because I'm a dumb developer. And then we're going to put quotations because we're trying to define a phrase or a combination of letters known as a string. Letters or letter. And we're just going to say hello world with a exclamation mark. And now we're going to go down 2 lines, or we're going to go down until the editor allows us to. And we're going to press enter, and then enter again. This is just, again, for the beautiful styling of the code, because if you do something like right here, right, it just looks kind of weird. So if you do it another line down, and we're gonna say to hello, right, hey, run your code. So we're gonna go hello, right, which again is pointing to this, right, and then we're gonna do this because we want to say, hey, I want to run you. I want to run whatever code you have in you. So with that, we can go here, and if you see me placing these right here, this you don't have to do this unless you're making 1-line scripts, which I will get into in another episode probably. So with that, let's save it. And if we go by there, see it says hello world now. So that's because skip this if you already know what's going on here and you're big brain. Otherwise, you're not small brain, okay? You're just learning at a different pace than other people might be. So with that, JavaScript runs by reading line by line by line, just like if you were reading a book. Hello, my name is Harry, and then go down, Potter, you know? So, with that, it goes from line 1 to whatever the ending line is. If you don't know what lines are, look at right here, and it will show you what line number it's talking about. So it goes from line 1, it says, okay, they're trying to make a function hello, right? And then they say, okay, this is the code inside hello that they want me to run when it's called, window.alert hello world. So with that, if I get called, then I'm going to alert hello world. And stop the code is what this end curly bracket means. Means no longer in hello. Then space skips over that, and it says hello is being called, so it goes over. It goes, here's the function hello, and then it runs the code. So this right here, I can't exactly give you a explanation of why we have to declare these, but if you were just saying this, it would return the code that's inside of hello. It would provide the whole thing. So if we don't want it to do that, we have to say we want to just run it, right? We don't want the whole thing again. We just want to run the thing. It's just like installing an exe file, right? And running it, basically. The exe file contains the things to do, and you're the one that gives the call. In this case, this is the you giving the call to run it, and then this is you defining what it does, like what's inside that exe file. That's a good terminology to think about when doing this sort of thing. So with that, we're going to erase everything again, and we're actually going to start displaying certain things. Okay, that's my phone line. Pardon. We're going to learn about variables and setting them now. I should have taught this first, but I'm not big brain, so yeah. Alright, so when making something, so like how we defined, hey, this is hello, you can also do that type of thing with other things. So, for instance, if we wanted to assign the name of hello to the string hello world, then we can do, we can say to JavaScript, hey, I want to make a variable, var for short, named, so in this case, what is it named? So in this case, it's named hello, right? And then if we say, I want it to equal, right? And then whatever you're going to make it equal. So it could be a function. Actually, it can't be a function for this certain instance. Actually, okay, it can. Never mind. But, in this case, we're going to make it hello world. So remember, quotations because we want to say something. And then hello world. Why not? With that, now we can say window.alert, and then we say hello, because now if it goes, okay, hello means hello world, and it goes down and it goes window.alert, so make it an alert, and then hello, that's hello, so it replaces hello with this. It's kind of like algebra if you know it. If you don't, perfect understanding of it. There you go. So it will replace hello automatically with this. Why is this useful? Because usually variables and data can change, and usually we don't put the input in originally. So that's like that. For an instance, if I can't think of any way to describe it right now, but essentially it's going to look up here, be like hello equals, right? Hello equals hello world. And then it goes and says, okay, well, hello equals hello world. Let's just take that and put it there. In this case, we aren't going to do that because we want to learn variables. All right, now with that, we can now go in here. Hello world. Ta-da! With the squiggly at the end. So with that, I'm gonna look how we're doing on time here. I think I've reached the end for this. My next episode will contain We're gonna do writing stuff to the body. This is just a basic understanding of the syntax. Please do note there's just a little bit of tough jobs before I end. If you're calling something, don't do var hello equals. It's just not gonna work. If your editor has something red, or is just not lighting up properly, it probably means that there's something not right. You can't declare stuff inside of a function or a call. Like, okay, I want to call to alert, right? You'd have to define it or give it something like raw, right? So just know that was the biggest problem with the person I was teaching. But with that, thank you for being along, and I'm sorry this is a raw episode and this took 20 minutes for whatever reason. And I hope you learned something today, and links will be in the description on like different methods of learning. If you're a type of person who just looks at something and goes, okay, well, this is a clear set of instructions, this is how it works, I got it, then w3schools.com is the best place to go for documentation and learning JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Thank you for sticking with me today. This has been Dubby, and peace out.